Welcome back to Pokemon episode summaries. Today, I'll be doing episode 134, For Crying Out Loud. The episode begins with Ash and the gang walking through a forest as Ash admires his newly earned Zephyr badge. Brock was looking through a guidebook so that he could tell Ash where the next gym was located, and he found out that it was in Azalea Town. Azalea Town obviously wasn't the next town they came across, though. It was instead a town with a whole bunch of nice houses. They were so beautiful that Brock thought that you could also find beautiful girls in a place like this. As if on cue, a beautiful girl then appeared by a nearby cliff, and Brock spotted her and was instantly starstruck, claiming she was the girl of his dreams, yeah sure, and that he wanted to meet her. Misty had spotted her own thing to admire, being a Marill that had popped out of a nearby bush. Misty instantly tries to catch the Marill, but unfortunately for her, the ball just goes flying straight off its head, which was unfortunate not just for the fact that it meant Misty failed to catch it, but also for the fact that it caused the Marill to get hurt and cry extremely loudly, much to Ash and the gang's annoyance, as they covered their ears. Thankfully, Brock is able to use his Pokemon breeder skills to pick up the Marill and calm it down, and when it's lifted in the air, Ash notices that it had a pink ribbon on its tail, and suggests that the Marill must have a trainer in that case. This leads Misty to apologize to the Marill, feeling bad for trying to catch it despite it already having an owner, and tries to pick it up and hug it to show how sincere her apology was. However, the Marill doesn't like this, and begins to cry yet again. It must have still thought Misty was a loser for trying to catch it or something, but Ash jokingly suggested that it must have just got scared by Misty due to how ugly she was, which pisses Misty off, obviously. The argument that spurs between Ash and Misty because of this is soon cut off as two farmers drive up in their truck, and seeing three kids alone in the woods, they offer to do a kind thing and give them a ride to wherever they were going. Before Ash and the gang can even respond, they practically force them in the back of their truck. Probably just out of pure concern for them, right? Well, no, because these two farmers were actually Team Rocket in disguise. And once Ash, Brock, and Misty are sitting in the back of the truck, Meowth deploys two mechanical hands and has them grab Pikachu and Marill, initially disguising them in the hay of the back of the truck so they could catch Marill and Pikachu off guard. Now that they had Pikachu and Marill, Team Rocket whip off their disguises, revealing themselves, and detach the back of the truck from the front, leaving Ash, Misty, and Brock stranded as Team Rocket drives away, stating their motto in the process to taunt them. Ash and the gang chased after Team Rocket as fast as they could, jumping out of the back of the truck. But they can't seem to catch up to Team Rocket, who were continuing to say their motto. Meanwhile, Marill, at this point, was extremely stressed out and began to cry. To be fair, Marill, I'd be stressed out too, but Marill cries so loud that it distracts Meowth to the point where he's unable to drive, and he crashes the car into a railing, sending Team Rocket blasting off. As for Marill and Pikachu, they were sent flying out of the truck right as it crashed, causing them to go rolling down a hill. Ash and the gang, who were still trailing Team Rocket, notice Pikachu and Marill fall, and Ash tries to run after them, but unfortunately he stumbles down the hill, face first into a tree. This leads Misty to hand Togepi to Brock and head down and try and catch them as they were falling as well, and she manages to. However, she can't stop rolling herself and rolls right into a nearby stream. Ash had gotten up from his collision with the tree at this point, and Brock had made his way down as well, but by the time they arrived at the bottom of the hill, Misty was already being dragged away by the water's current. With Pikachu and Marill still in her hands, she simply yelled at Brock and Ash to take care of Togepi as she washed away. Just then, the girl from earlier that Brock had spotted by the lake showed up. She had heard Ash and Brock mention Marill, and accused them of stealing it, demanding Ash to give up its location, grabbing him by the shirt, revealing that the Marill's trainer was in fact this girl. Brock, still having an immense crush on the girl, tried his best to explain to her that they didn't do anything bad to her Marill, and explains what had happened with Misty, stating that they would help her find it. The girl thanked him, and revealed that her name was Wilhelmina, as Brock revealed his name. Ash was shocked. A girl wasn't frightened by Brock for once. As Ash, Brock, and Wilhelmina joined forces to look for Wilhelmina's Marill, along with Pikachu and Misty, Marill, and Pikachu had washed up on shore at this point, thankfully not drowning. But despite this, the Marill was still sad due to being separated from its trainer, and just the whole ordeal overall, so it began to cry extremely loud yet again, leading Misty to yell at it, which, in turn, caused the Marill to run away into a nearby bush and drop its pink ribbon. Marill continued to run, so Pikachu and Misty chased after it, but unfortunately, the Marill tripped on a rock, which only caused it to cry even more. When Misty and Pikachu find the Marill, Misty tries her best to comfort it by grabbing it and pulling it in for a hug yet again, but Marill jumped out of her arms. It just didn't like Misty. And I mean, I can kind of see why if Misty was going to yell at it, and I mean, she just yelled at it yet again in response to it not wanting to be held. You think that's going to make it want to be held if you keep yelling at it? Misty was then even going to leave the Marill behind in frustration with it, but she realized that even she wasn't that cold-hearted of a bitch and couldn't leave it behind, promising to help it find its trainer. Marill, wanting to find its trainer, decided to still follow Misty, likely also because it had taken to liking to at least Pikachu. As they were walking, Misty got the idea to have Marill use its sensitive ears, which she remembered Tracy's Marill having, to help locate its trainer, to see if it could hear it. The process was taking too long though, so Misty proceeded to get mad, which only caused the Marill to cry yet again, much to Misty's dismay. Meanwhile, Ash, Brock, and Wilhelmina were searching for Misty, Marill, and Pikachu on the riverside, when Wilhelmina explained that the reason why she got so mad at Ash for potentially doing something to the Marill was because she was really concerned about it due to it being super young and not having any experience being out on its own. Brock, simply probably wanting to get into Wilhelmina's pants, tries his best to comfort her worries, and Wilhelmina actually appreciates this. That's right, a girl actually liked Brock a little bit, no way. Ash was shocked by this, but he was even more shocked when Togepi jumped out of his hands, By the way, he had Togepi in his hands because Brock had gave him to him, even though Misty requested that Brock look after Togepi. Fucking useless prick. Anyways, as soon as Togepi jumps out of Ash's hands, it immediately locates the Meryl's ribbon that it had dropped, indicating that Meryl was nearby. Speaking of Meryl, Misty, and Pikachu had decided to take a little break since they weren't getting anywhere with finding anyone. And Misty had given Meryl and Pikachu some Pokemon food so they could recharge their energy. Meryl certainly had energy because as soon as it spotted a wild Butterfree flying above it, it immediately chased it to a nearby flower meadow. It then tried to hit the Butterfree with several water guns, presumably wanting to play, but the water guns missed the Butterfree and instead hit all the Weedle and Caterpie that were sitting in the meadow. And those Caterpie and Weedle proceeded to call for help in the form of some dangerous-ass Beedrill. Thankfully, Misty and Pikachu had followed Meryl into the meadow, so Misty was able to quickly pick Meryl up and begin running away from the Beedrill, although the Beedrill were not backing down. Pikachu screamed as they ran, and these screams were heard by Ash, who immediately ran towards their source, believing Pikachu was nearby. Brock and Wilhelmina follow him, and eventually they run into Misty, Pikachu, and Meryl as they were running in the other direction, away from the Beedrill. However, before Ash and Brock and Wilhelmina can actually spot Misty and Pikachu and Meryl, they're forced to duck down to dodge the Beedrill as they approach. So, this means that the Beedrill, Misty, Meryl, and Pikachu run past them without noticing them. So, they had passed each other and not even known it. Great. Misty then continues running until she reaches a dead end. Thankfully, right as the Beedrill were about to attack, Misty was able to command Pikachu to use Thunderbolt on the Beedrill, sending them scurrying away. Misty congratulated Pikachu as they celebrated over their victory. However, they couldn't celebrate for long, as clouds started to form over the trees, signifying that rain was on the way. And rain definitely arrived, we can say that. It got so bad that Misty, Meryl, and Pikachu had to find shelter in a tree hollow, and Ash, Wilhelmina, and Brock had to find shelter under some nearby trees. Brock didn't want to wait under the trees, as he saw how distressed Wilhelmina was, and having a crush on her, he obviously didn't want to see his girl sad, but Ash was like, no, that's fucking stupid, we're gonna stay under these trees until the storm passes. Meanwhile, with Misty, Meryl, and Pikachu in the tree hollow, lightning had started to strike by the area, which frightened the Meryl, causing it to go running out of the tree hollow and cry once a fucking again, leading Misty and Pikachu to chase after it once a fucking again. To make matters worse, lightning then strikes a nearby tree, and it's about to fall on Meryl, but in a Deus Ex Machina moment, Misty jumps in and saves it. Misty was about to yell at Meryl for being too slow to move out of the way on its own, and putting itself in danger, but realizes that tough love would probably only make the Meryl more sad, and she certainly didn't want to do that, so she simply just hugged it and said that she was glad that it was okay, much to Meryl's happiness. Meryl had finally warmed up to Misty, and Misty had finally fully warmed up to it. Yay! After returning to the tree hollow for a little bit longer, the storm eventually passed, so Misty, Meryl, and Pikachu made their way across a nearby bridge that they found in order to get to the other side of the river, back to where they initially got separated from Ash and Brock. However, as they were crossing, a mechanical hand reaches out and grabs the bridge, causing it to shake, and Misty almost to fall. This mechanical hand was being controlled by James in the Meowth balloon. Meowth was also controlling a second one, which he used to grab Pikachu off of the bridge and pull him up. Meowth then tried to grab Meryl with the mechanic hand as well, and he managed to. However, Misty lunged for it and grabbed onto the hand as well. This left Meowth unable to pull up the mechanical hand as Misty was too heavy. She was so heavy that Meowth ended up dropping the mechanical hand's controller, which sent the hand plummeting down with Misty and Meryl inside of it. As they were about to land in the water, Ash, Brock, and Wilhelmina showed up in a Deus Ex Machina moment, and Ash had his Chikorita use Vine Whip to catch Misty and Meryl before they fell, and pull them back up to the cliff. Wilhelmina instantly grabbed Meryl from Misty and hugged it, as Ash had Chikorita attack Team Rocket's balloon with Razor Leaf, causing it to come crashing down. This breaks the mechanical hand holding Pikachu, so Pikachu is able to get free and run back to Ash. However, despite crashing, Team Rocket weren't done yet, and they decide to send out their Arbok and Weezing to battle Ash and the gang. Misty counters by sending out her Poliwag, who uses a water gun to destroy Weezing's Smog attack and then send Weezing flying back. Jessie then has Arbok fire a Poison Sting, not at Poliwag, but at Misty herself, but fortunately, Meryl jumps out of Wilhelmina's arms and uses a water gun to save Misty from the Poison Sting. Ash then has his Pikachu use Thunderbolt on Team Rocket, causing the balloon and the mechanical hand's remains to explode, sending Team Rocket blasting off. After Wilhelmina saw Meryl save Misty, she remarked how, although this experience was likely traumatic for the Meryl, she was glad that the Meryl got to meet some good new people on its first time alone. Ash then congratulated Pikachu on being able to send Team Rocket blasting off yet again, but Chikorita got jealous and jumped in front of Pikachu, wanting Ash's affection, which Ash gave to it, much to Pikachu's frustration. Man, I hope that doesn't keep happening every episode now, fucking Chikorita and Pikachu fighting. As evening began to set in, Wilhelmina suggested that Ash, Brock, and Misty stay the night at her super luxurious house. And Brock, thrilled at the prospect of spending the night with the woman that he loved so much, instantly agreed. However, Ash reminded him that they had to continue on their journey so he could get to their next gym. Fucking selfish bastard. Brock reluctantly obliges to Ash's demands, but tells Wilhelmina that he would be interested in seeing her again sometime, and surprisingly, Wilhelmina actually agrees. Maybe Brock would get a date eventually after all. Wilhelmina then drives away in her limousine, which had come to pick her up, thanking Ash and the gang as she pulled away. Misty looked in the limousine window at Meryl one last time as the limousine disappeared in the horizon, as Meryl looked at her with tears in its eyes. Damn, Ash, if only you let Misty and Brock stay the night. Then Brock could have got laid for once, and Misty and Meryl could have bonded even more, but you selfish prick, you want to go to your second gym. Just kidding, I don't care. The gym battles were the most exciting part of the series anyway.